Unsyndicated presents Off the Air with Sean Baligian.
Happy Halloween. How you doing? Everything well? Right. I can't wait to go watch Mike, my man Mike. You know, there are a bunch of Michael Myers movies on tonight. My man. You know, I'll have hockey on one screen. Make no mistake about that. But I can't get enough of that stuff. He's Matt Shepard, Sean Baligian.
Are you a scary movies guy?
Love him.
Me
Absolutely
too.
love him. Except let me tell you this, and I think you'll agree with me.
Okay.
I am the demon stuff. I'm out. I just go the other way. I don't want that exorcist stuff and all that. No thanks. I'm going to take a pass. I want nothing to do with that.
All right. So there is a difference between, I think, scary and, you know, that type of horror movies. Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you like the Friday the 13th, the Freddy Kruegers, that kind of stuff.
Slasher
Gotcha.
flicks.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Because I like all of it, right? And believe it or not, Sean, my daughter loves the scary movies.
No kidding.
So I don't know if you've ever seen The Nun.
Yes.
Okay.
I have.
That stuff is freaky, man. Really freaky. The scarier the better for her. But I really don't like the kind that are, you know, obvious and so far-fetched that it's just ridiculous, right? But I'm with you, man, and I'm glad you said that because tonight's a perfect night to do it for the most part. I mean, baseball's over, right? I want to watch a football game, but I might try to sneak a short horror movie in there.
I promise you.
Conjuring, David, nice job. Sorry, Sean.
Conjuring is. I promise you, I'll have the Habs on one television. I promise you, as sure as I'm sitting here. The Habs and Capitals will be on one television. But you and I were just talking about this, and we didn't get deep into it because I wanted to talk about it with everybody out there. Tom in London, hello. Dave, always a pleasure. Thanks for checking in, guys. How was the trick-or-treating out in your neck of the woods? There weren't a lot of people out in my neck of the woods, Shep.
We've gone through 10 bags so far.
Wow.
Yeah, we've had probably, man, I don't know, at least 50 kids. So pretty happy. Yeah,
okay.
Really happy. I mean, I started, Sean, I started giving out. So we had bags of Twix, Reese's, Skittles, and the Laffy Taffy. And I was giving out 2 to every kid, right? Because in the past, we haven't had a ton. And then I just see this slew of kids. And I looked at my wife. I said, Lisa, you got to go get more candy. We're going to run out.
That's what I did.
She went out and got, I think, 5 more bags, 6 more bags of candy. Twix, 3 Musketeers. Oh, 3 Musketeers before. So 5. I got 5, and then she went out and got 5 more. 3 Musketeers, 2 more bags of Twix, Butterfingers, and we went through all of it. I think I might have maybe 3 or 4 stragglers left, but we've gone through all of it, and it warms my heart to see all these parents out there with solo cups, watching, saying hello, and the kids saying trick or treat and then thank you. It's
polite kids. You know, it's weird where we live. You probably know this. For people like Northville, half of Northville goes downtown and they shut down like the center of Northville. And so most of the kids go down there. But my neighborhood has been hit or miss the last 5 years that we've lived here. Yeah. There have been some years where we were just bombed. Tonight, we just weren't. And like you said, I went this afternoon. I think we had 9 bags. And I was like, I got to go buy 3 more. I don't ever want to be that guy that turns off the light early because I ran out.
I had to put a sign on the door. Sean, the problem with your neighborhood is, you know, when everybody has butlers, you just don't have that many kids.
Here we go. Here we go. Skydog, one thing I planned on watching, which I did this afternoon, was It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown here on YouTube. Classic.
Great.
Are you kidding me? Classic. Happy Halloween, fellas.
That makes you happy. Makes you happy. Good job, Skydog. Way to go, man.
Happy Halloween, guys, from Joe. Danny said, good evening, gentlemen. I think I told you this, Shep. I know Todd knows this. My buddies and I have had this thing since we all went and saw Halloween 2 together. We snuck into the back door of the Livonia Mall in 1981. True
Mhm.
story.
Mhm.
And so all my buddies from the neighborhood, we all get together one day during the month of October, and we have something called Loser Fest, where we take the day off and we watch all the Halloween movies. And the reason why it's Loser Fest is, well, pretty self-explanatory. But like all of our wives sit back and go, "Are you guys doing that again?" And
Yeah.
yes, we're doing that again. It's 44 years strong, but we're doing it again. So
Stay young, baby. Stay
yeah,
young. Way to go. Way to go.
that's exactly. All right, here's an interesting question. Bill says, time to move on from JMO. His talent is obviously not up for dispute, but 3 strikes already. Damn, the kid is killing his future value. Decision making, Shep, is a big problem, and I know this one wasn't major. Okay, I'm not going to sit back and play like it's major. Okay, but it keeps happening. It keeps happening.
Okay, if it's not major, what is? I mean, if you get pulled over in a speeding car, I know he's not driving. You got a gun in the back seat. You got a gun under your seat. What is determined major? Number one. Number two. I know he's 23. You know what? Penny Sewell's 24. Jahmyr Gibbs is 22. Right? Sam Laporta is 24. How old do they have to be before we stop making excuses because the guy can run a fly route and is really good on an end around? Okay, I'm talking about, and I think Bill is too. Talking about decisions. Okay,
Mhm.
at some point, Sean, at some point in your life, it could have been when your dad said, "I tell you, kid, whatever."
You know
You
what?
woke up. You woke up and you said, "You know what? It's time that I'm a grown man and I'm going to make decisions." This dude has all. It's not that hard. You get in the car and you go, "Hey, man, let's make sure that we're not speeding, or we've got guns in the car. Probably not a great idea." You know, you can think ahead. You don't have to be Mr. Superman and see through things before you recognize there's a problem. I'll give you an example. I went every year. My buddies and I from high school. Every other year, we go on a golf outing. Some of my buddies indulge a little bit more than others. I would say, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, we're in one of the condos and one of my buddy lights one up. I've never done drugs in my entire life, ever. Okay. Never had a desire, never done it. I said to him, I go, "Hey, man, you got to get the hell out of here." He's like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "I can't have that around me."
Right.
Okay. Sorry. I mean, you can. That's cool. I'm not disparaging you or saying that you can't do it or I think any different of you, but I can't be seen with this stuff, okay? Because it's different. So you can go to your other condo or you can put it out. And he's like, "Shep, are you serious?" I said, "You goddamn right I'm serious."
Yeah.
Okay. Jamison Williams has a lot to play for and a lot to live for, and a lot of people who are depending on him. Sean, do you think they trust him in that locker room? Honestly, I
No.
mean, they'll say it publicly. Would
No.
you trust him in that
No.
locker room?
But that's the point that I'm making, Shep. I certainly not to downplay what happened. If this was an isolated incident, you know what? I'd probably go, all right, he's dumb move. He'll learn from this. It's not an isolated incident, and that's what makes it the issue.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Be honest with me, okay?
Mhm.
You always are, but just do you think he's vital to this team?
No.
Okay. See, I'm not saying he's replaceable. I don't necessarily want to play the rest of the year without him either. All
Of
right.
course. Of course.
And I'm not going to take one example and say, you know what, they beat Tennessee 52-14, so they don't need him. No. Is he a good downfield threat? Absolutely.
He's a luxury. He is. He's a luxury. And luxury I'm happy to have, by the way.
Sure. Minnesota, he had 1 catch. They beat him. Dallas, 3 catches. They beat him. Seattle, 2 catches. Blew him out, right? Arizona, 1 catch for 9 yards. Beat him. I'm not one of those guys who are going to say, I'm going to look past his character or his decision making, because his character is different, okay? But his decision making, and say, you know what? I mean, I love the kid. He's like Dan Campbell said, he's really good in his heart. I love Dan Campbell. You and I both trust him. We trust Brad Holmes. All those things, okay? It's okay to disagree with them, though. Just because they're great at what they do doesn't mean that they're perfect at what they do, and you and I can disagree with them. This whole, oh, he's got a good heart. He may have a good heart. What's he got between the ears? Because what he's doing right now is a sideshow, and it sure hasn't disrupted the Lions. That's fine, but that doesn't mean it's okay. All right? Somebody's got to get his ass in line because he's making some stupid decisions, and it's time for him to grow up. Period.
Well said, Joe. Yes, he's a luxury. Bill said J-Mo now has zero trade value. I think the thing, if I was a general manager, I'd lie through my teeth about J-Mo. I would want J-Mo something fierce, but it'd be, you know what I do? I would literally go, Brad, baby, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
I guess I'll give you a fourth for him. I need something, something like that. I'd lie through my teeth. Are you kidding me? I want to get to what Danny said, because Danny asked you and I the same question I asked you just before we went on, because there are some disturbing things with the Red Wings. There's no other way to slice that. And I want to get into it a little bit. First, let me tell you about our friends at the Wealth Advantage Group. If you're looking to take charge of your financial future, look no further than those two handsome guys right there. The Wealth Advantage Group, located in historic downtown Northville, owned by the Handsome brothers right there with over 20 years of industry experience. They understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are, and that's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now, whether you're saving for retirement, getting ready to sell your company, or already in retirement, they can help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They work with clients throughout all stages of life, and they have clients in 20 different states. Look, the investment world, it is a complex one. And if you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, give my buddies a call. Not only are they my friends, I vouch for both of them, but they've taken care of my family. They'll take care of you and your family as well. Work with the experts. Reach out to the Wealth Advantage Group at 248-773-8574, or check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. All right, so Shep, when I was on my European vacation, it was interesting. I saw the Red Wings a couple times, and I had to laugh because on one hand, the good news is they won a couple games. On the other hand, the way they did it was not sustainable. When you are routinely being outshot 47-11, you're not going to win a whole heck of a lot of hockey games that way.
Nope.
And so, to the surprise of, well, absolutely nobody, they've kind of struggled since then. And in particular, last night, as Danny said, wait, let me go back and read what Danny said just to get this going. Thoughts on Wings' small sample size this season, the goaltending chaos wheel. Is there hope for this season? There's two things that jump out to me. One of them is correctable in my mind, and I'm interested to hear if you feel the same way. The other is not correctable. They don't have a good defense core, period. They don't. That's that. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Or goaltending. All right. The penalty kill has been awful, abysmal. It's 30th in the league. You guys are watching the same games I'm watching. Every night they give up it seemingly a power play goal. Their PK is at about 65% right now. Again, you're 30th in the league at that. I think that's correctable. I do. I've always felt that's correctable. I'm not saying that they're going to go into the top three, but you can do a hell of a lot better with something like that. There are a lot of issues with this hockey team, Shep. And I told you a few weeks ago, I don't even expect them to make the playoff this year. I really, truly don't.
You did say that. Yep.
But with that being said, I could not blame one human being out there that says, okay, what's going on with this hockey team right now? And I'm having a tough time following and trusting in the Yzer plan. I couldn't blame one person right now.
Yeah, look, to bring it last night's a -3, Kane's a -2. How much you want to read into that is up to you. If you look at the Wings against a team like Winnipeg, who is just on the puck constantly, fast, no wasted energy whatsoever, saucer pass to tape every single time, seems like, right? Kyle Connor from Shelby Township, a goal and 2 assists. I'll jump on him right away. You should notice how far away you really are.
Yep.
It's kind of like when I was watching the World Series. I'm like, our teams are so far away. We can get entertained. We can see some young guys and think, you know what? I like him. I like that they've locked up Raymond. I like that they've locked up Sider. I like that they've locked up Larkin. This team is so far away. It's unbelievable. And I don't even know if people think Winnipeg's the best team in the league or the best team in the West or what. But I'll tell you this, Detroit's not even close. I mean, not even Connor Hellebuyck is really good. Scheifele's really good. Connor's really good. You can go on and on and on with that Winnipeg team. And I always look at teams and always games like this, Sean. If I had this team, pick whatever team, and you got that team, how many guys of yours do I have to have? Do I really want? It tells you how stacked, how deep, how talented your team is, however you want to say it. I don't think many people look at the Red Wings and go, got to have that guy, got to have that guy. You know, I mean, Kyle Connor just blew by Mo Sider last night.
Local guy, stud.
It was, you know, an outstanding play. You know, Kyle Connor's also a really good player. Should have won the Hobie Baker as a freshman at Michigan, but because he was a freshman, they didn't win it. But my point is, it shows you how far away they are. How much of it on Steve Yzerman? How much is it? He's got to take some of the responsibility. I know you've educated our audience a lot on why you believe in him, and I respect your hockey knowledge as much as anybody. He's not done the job many people thought he was going to do.
I won't argue with that.
It doesn't mean you start over, by the way,
Right,
but at some point, I would say this: at some point, you know, you could say that about a lot of GMs, Sean. You and I have had these conversations about the Lions in the past. You could say it about a lot of GMs. Oh, what's the point of starting over? I don't know. Maybe somebody's got a different vision. Maybe somebody's got somebody better to take over in certain spots. If you're not going to have somebody take over, if he's going to just be in there because why start all over again? Then you're just going to give him as much rope as you possibly want to give him, and you better expect, you know, kind of similar results for the next at least couple of years, right?
Shep, you know what's interesting about this? I've said this for 5 years, whether it be on the radio, whether it be on television, whether it be on shows like this. In my mind, the clock started when this season started. And I know people don't like to hear that. There's a reason why the term 5-year plan exists. And trust me when I say this, I've had 2 different general managers. Oh, by the way, neither of them named Steve Yzerman, that use 5 years as the number. Now, to his credit, Steve Yzerman has never said 5 years. He has never, ever said 5 years. 2 general managers, and pardon me, they both said it to me off the record. If you think real hard, you can probably figure out who they are. Told me flat out, this is a 5-year thing. You start to see the fruits of your labor 5 years in. So what I've said, and in whether I did, you know, all over the media, is I said, the clock starts in October of 2024. And I know people didn't want to hear that, but that is the general rule of thumb in the National Hockey League, okay? And if the clock starts in October of 2024, all bets are off, because what you're seeing right now is a team that is not ready to compete. Forget about competing at the highest level. What you're seeing right now is a team that's not ready to even make a legitimate run to the playoff. Honestly.
Here's what I would ask the people who tell you that 5 years. Why 5? Why not 4? Why not 6? Why?
I don't know. It's just interesting. 2 different general managers use the term 5-year plan.
Here's my belief on that, because I think we as a society, we just use that as the number, thinking that's how long general managers usually get. They'll sign 4 or 5-year deals. I think a lot of it depends on who you're taking over for, what you have in your system, and of course, some of the draft picks that you've got coming up. For example, Steve Yzerman, we thought Detroit might get number 1. Hey, we got a shot at Matty Berniers, or we got a shot at Owen Power. Instead, we get the 6th overall pick, whatever the case may be. And a lot of it is because he is accepting or assuming a lot of the talent that he may not have necessarily selected in the first place. I just think 5 years is so damn random. It just seems like, well, I think I'll pull a number out of the. Was it 5 years for Al Avila when the Tigers took over? And why didn't that come to fruition? Why is it 5? I never understood that. Was it supposed to be 5 for Brad Holmes because he's done it earlier than 5? And I know it's not the NHL. I want to know the reason that number is associated.
A good question. You know what? I'll tell you what. And in one of them I talk to semi-regularly, I will ask him. I will make a point to say, why is the general rule of thumb 5 years? Because Shep, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
That's just it was just interesting to me that on separate occasions, 2 different general managers used that term, 5-year plan. And look, am I sitting back saying that Steve has made awful moves that everybody can boo and hiss at? And I think you bring up Al Avila. That's the difference with Al Avila. And I'm not saying that you're comparing the 2, but like if you look at Al Avila, you just go, a Verlander trade.
Right.
You go. I'm not going to go down the list because I'll get a migraine and I'll start
JD
yelling.
Martinez trade. Yeah,
Right.
I said this to Joe Dumars. I said it to Martin Mayhew too. I said there are certain moves that general managers make that define who they are, whether you like it or not. Okay, Joe Dumars drafting Darko Milicic is what people associate with him instead of 6 Eastern Conference Finals appearances and a championship. All right. When they see Chauncey Billups move to Denver for Allen Iverson, it's something that sticks in their craw. We think of the negative. Like, I understand why people think that of Alavila, and they should. But then they conveniently forget that he's fielded most of this team that reached the postseason this year that you and I have talked about, whether it be Skubal or Green or Torkelson or Parker Meadows or Colt Keith. We can go on and on and on, right? But they don't want to even look back at that. With Steve Yzerman, and somebody wrote like Sparky Anderson, 79 to 84. That's a manager. Bill LaJoy put the team together. We're talking about general managers here. And by the way, that same general manager was in charge. He's the one who drafted Gibby. He drafted Trammell. He drafted Whitaker and Morris and Petrie and stuff. That's completely different. That's an irrelevant comparison. Sorry, Skydog. I just think of Steve Yzerman, he's had the opportunity to change his mix. And the areas that you have talked about, the hockey knowledgeable guy has said this team's bad defensively and it's bad goaltending. He's the one who's had a chance to take care of both of that, and he hasn't done it.
It's funny that you mentioned Joe, because for me personally, Ben Gordon and Charlie Villanueva was the beginning of the end. When you had that money and you said to everybody, Ben Gordon and Charlie Villanueva, those are going to be our 2 big signings. And then subsequently you had people say, well, Joe couldn't do anything because Mr. D died. And it's like, okay, he did that after Mr. D died. And then the excuse making starts and everything like that. And I think it goes down. As Tom brought up, Buffalo's been in a rebuild for years. And hey, let's be honest, right. So the Winnipeg Jets. Do you remember the Hockey News very, very ceremoniously put out an issue, Shep, I want to say it was 2015, where they proclaimed in 2015 and put the AI picture of Winnipeg holding the cup. Your Stanley Cup champions 2018, the Winnipeg Jets. Yeah. Like it's just, Shovel Dayoff did everything seemingly right. He got their goaltender, local kid from Walled Lake. He accumulated a bunch of talent. A lot of that talent, Patrick Laine, didn't work. And you know what? They've had some cute little runs, but they've fallen well short. And it's interesting how that works out.
I like Patrick Laine. Skydog said, never mind the year Joe took Darko, the Pistons took the Lakers out in 5. Absolutely. It's another good example, right? I love this from Dan. I'm curious at the timeline for a guy like Kosa, but with our decor is nasty. Do you really throw him into that proverbial fire? What do you think the timeline is for Kosa, Sean? Because he's a first-round pick now. All right, that's Steve Yzerman's pick.
I'm not saying this because of the hat I'm wearing. I won't be surprised at all if Augustine doesn't turn out to be the guy.
I think he will be the guy, but that's not the question. The question is, what's the timeline for Kosa, considering the inconsistency they've had in goaltending and Steve Yzerman's inability to identify a good goalie for this team?
Are you asking me what I would do, or are you asking me what I would bring him up this year? Why not? I know the way that he's done things. Like, if you remember, and I know you and I talked about this like maybe last month ago, Steve is the guy that until his guy is ready, he has no problem going and getting a Dwayne Rollison or a Cam Talbot or something. And then he brings the Ben Bishop on the scene, right? And this is our guy for now until the guy that we took in the first round in 2014 is totally ready in Vasilevsky.
I know, but you always bring that example up.
I know that's he's been a creature of habit in regards to that.
He doesn't have those guys. He's tried it with Husso. No. He's tried it with Talbot now this year. He's tried it with Reimer. He's tried it with so many different goalies, and it's not working. Yep. Right? I mean, and this is not.
I would call up Sebastian this year. That's just me.
That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking
this
for.
Year.
Yep. And by the way, somebody brought up, I think you did, with Charlie Villanueva and Ben Gordon. I remember having a disagreement with Ryan Field, formerly of FSD, in the Comerica Park press lounge. And he said, we just got the 2 best free agents on the NBA market. I said, just because you sign the two guys to those contracts doesn't mean, just because you've got the worst of the crap doesn't mean you've got good players. I said, these guys are nothing. It's not a big deal. Just because you went out and signed somebody doesn't mean it's going to fix everything. Those guys weren't very good. Who from the Red Wings has Steve Yzerman signed? Be honest. Who you think is like, man, that's a really good signing. I'm glad he did.
Patrick Kane. I seriously, I thought Patrick Kane was brilliant. It was low risk, potential high reward, and
one in 6 years. So
no, I'm not arguing with that, but I will. And the part of the reason why I say that is because so many people lost their crap when they signed Patrick Kane. Well, guys don't just come back from that injury. I can't believe you're behind this. And I said, what are you losing out on if it doesn't work?
I thought I'll be honest with you. I think the re-signing of Patrick Kane is just as big as the signing originally.
Agreed.
Okay?
Agreed.
So it told you something about your organization. It told you something about the players in the room. It told you something about the coaching. And for him to actually want to stay here. So I thought that was just as big as the original sign. Outside of that, there hasn't been much that has made me say, boy, you got yourself a coup right there.
No argument. No argument. Let me tell you about our friends at Legacy. Did you know thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their home and auto insurance? Our friends at Legacy are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents. They provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all of your insurance needs, personal and business, large and small. Now, Legacy has helped our listeners by fixing mistakes other agents have made, asking the right questions to get the right coverage put in place to properly protect you and save you some money. They did it for me. They'll do it for you. Chances are, like me, you hadn't checked your policies in the last year and you're probably paying too much. And, oh, by the way, you could be underinsured. Enter Legacy Partners. Give them a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, or your business insurance needs. Call them today, 586-209-4106, or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quotes. Jim, we were talking about this earlier, but my buddy from Toledo, what is more frightening than the Wings defense right now? We were talking about it earlier. It's unbelievable. You're just not giving your goaltenders chances. Look, Alex Lyon, I think we all know what he is. He's going to be good in spurts. He isn't the guy. He's never been the guy. He had a good spurt with Florida a couple of years ago. Let's not forget how good he was for a couple months with the Red Wings. But if you think that that's the guy that can continue to win games, making 38, 39 saves a game, you're nuts. And you compound that all with a penalty kill that's just lost right now. It really is. It's lost right now. And I think you get what we're seeing.
Sean, it's no different. It is no different than a football team going with a backup quarterback for a short period of time, Jameis Winston, Cleveland, and getting some decent results.
Right.
But do you really want him running that huddle every single Sunday? The answer to that is no. It's the same thing with a spot starter suddenly giving you some really good innings and getting a win. And you're thinking, okay, perhaps he's a guy who could be one of those consistent starters for me. And he's really not. So what you're looking for is the equivalent to a starting quarterback and an ace on your baseball team. You do not have that right
now. Thank you. My buddy Tom just made me very happy. Habs 2-1. Cole Caulfield's going to score 150 goals this year. So just over under. Shep, I have the over under set at 150. I don't know if you're going over or under. He scored his 10th goal already.
He's the second coming of Guy Lafleur. That's all I know.
Well, except he got those assists. Cole's not going to give you many assists.
He's going to shoot it. Dan says this one. Now, my son asked me this last night.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they deal Wallman? And another question I keep asking. Okay, I'll tell you why. Money. Mm-hmm. They wanted to free up money to sign Thider and Raymond to long-term deals. Am I wrong about that?
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
Not only did they give up Wallman to San Jose, they gave up a second-round pick with him, if you recall.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, he's basically calling the GM and saying, hey, man, you want Wallman? You're going to have to make it more than that because we know what's going on there. Okay, I'll give you a second-round pick. For future considerations, you don't even know what it is. I mean, to me, that is borderline irresponsible. A young, aggressive, offensive-minded at times, pretty responsible defensively. It's not like he's going to be a 1 or a 2, but he's not a bad defenseman.
He's a depth guy. Yeah, he's a depth guy.
Yeah, and a second-round pick. I didn't like his on ice celebration, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't necessarily want him on the team instead of some of the guys they have right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My son partied out in the streets of LA last night. The Dodgers. Yeah,
really?
he legitimately, Shep, he really did. He lives
Wow.
about a mile north of Dodger Stadium, so he sent me
that
some
is way
pictures and
cool.
everything. Yeah.
Did he
But
loot like everybody else and set anything on fire? But the media won't show you that. They'll only show Detroit in 1984. And how they
yeah. It sure would be nice to have another one of those parties. There's no doubt about that. It's only been 40 years.
It'll happen for the Lions this year. So
Shep, it's funny you say that. I'm serious. I have an issue and maybe it's in my head. If you want to yell at me and tell me I'm wrong, that's okay. I kind of feel like the Tigers get a little bit of a pass for their futility of the past. I really do.
I'm not going to yell at you. I'm the one who got in trouble for saying it.
No, but and what I mean by Shep, 1957 has been on our brains forever, right?
Right.
And when I say forever, we were all lamenting that many, many, many years ago, okay? Like, I remember even in the 91 season, people throwing 1957 out there.
Yeah.
Hockey fans, 1955. It hit 40 years in 95. Surely they were going to beat the Devils. The Devils were so overmatched. We know how that happened, okay? It's been 40 years for the Tigers, and for whatever reason in my mind, I just don't think people treat that as I guess in the same category as the Lions and the Red Wings. That's just one man's personal opinion. But you brought up something. Watching those teams last night, okay? They are on such a different level than the Detroit Tigers right now. It's not now. It's like we had a big party. We had a great time. I got hammered, right? And then after the party was over, I kind of woke up in the morning and I was like, man, that was a blast. And then you look around and you're like, we need a third baseman. We need a shortstop. We need a first baseman. We need another outfielder. And if I'm going to say the second baseman is legit, I'm also taking a leap of faith. By the way, we need a catcher. We probably need 2 or 3 different starters. Oh, by the way, you know how we were just talking about the Red Wings non-sustainable model? Our bullpen is non-sustainable. Other than that, the Tigers are fine, and they're primed to make another run next year, Shep.
Yeah, well, Sean, don't forget all the feel-good, loving, and touching articles that were written by the hard-hitting media in this town, too, after the Tigers season. Thank you so much. Our expectations are so low. Look at the Yankees and Dodgers, all right? Every day, Dave Roberts goes to the ballpark. I don't care if he's on the first bus at noon or he's pulling into Chavez Ravine. He knows his designated hitter is Shohei Ohtani. He knows that Freddie Freeman's at first base and Mookie Betts is in right field and Will Smith's behind the plate and Teoscar Hernandez will be a free agent. I think he'd be a perfect fit for the Tigers in left field, right? He knows that Gavin Lux is his second baseman. He knows Max Muncy is somewhere in his lineup at third base. In other words, he's got 3 decisions on his lineup for the most part. He's got everyday players.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees, it's Soto, it's Judge, it's Verdugo, it's Volpe at short, right? Rizzo will probably be gone. Torres is a free agent, but Aaron Boone could pencil him in on a pretty regular basis. It's 6 guys every single day. How about that for AJ Hinch? How many guys are so we love the feel-good story of guys who haven't been able to make it, right? But everybody counted them out, but they made it here. It's an unknown quantity on what you're going to get year in and year out with a lot of these guys. And how much more can you expect? Like your everyday players, you're going to have Green, Keith, Parker Meadows, and Matt Vierling somewhere, right? Third base, right field sometimes. Gary Carpenter is going to play against righties. You're going to sign a right-handed DH. Maybe Teoscar Hernandez play a little bit of the outfield too. Tell me who else gives you great confidence that says, okay, punch that ticket. They're in. Because I got news for you, man. Cleveland's not going away.
Nope.
Kansas City's pretty good. They've got some pretty good position players, right? Minnesota, I know they just lost Alex Kurloff. He decided because of injuries, he's going to retire. They still got some really good players, and they finished below Detroit. So buckle up, man, because Baltimore's got some dead sights set on some things that they want to get done that they haven't been able to get done. Boston feels like it underachieved, right? Houston feels like they were knocked out too soon. Let's be real here.
And that's what I look at, Shep. And this goes back to guys. It's cute that they made their little run, and it's cute that Tampa has made some runs, and it's cute that Cleveland has made some runs. But it's only going to get you so far. And the unknown here is how much is Christopher Ilitch going to reinvest in this team? I don't know the answer to that. I don't listen at this point in time. I have no reason to believe that he will. I don't. Okay. I'd love it if he surprised me. I'd love it if he threw multiple checks out there, like his father used to do. But if we're going to have these conversations, and Shep, everybody loves that linear thinking. Well, if the Tigers did this last year, surely they have to do this this year. This is a team that is staring at taking a big step back this year. Period.
Yeah.
End of story. Staring.
Unless they do something, and I'm going to give them. We're not going to panic. We're going to give them time to do that. We're not going to judge right now. But as somebody said, about the money, look, let's see how serious they are. What they do is Tarek Skubal.
Yep.
Are you going to lock him up right now, or are you going to keep him hanging on and possibly dangle him as trade bait in case your team's out of it by the All-Star break or whatever? I mean, there are certain things that have to be done. Bill says MLB no salary cap as far as if you have a salary cap, you're going to have a floor. Okay. Because players aren't going to agree to a salary cap if owners aren't going to show that there's a commitment on their part too. So it's not a farce. It's something I usually, I'm pretty even with management and players in general. I think both sides have a tendency to, ask for a little ridiculous in their demands. But what's your floor going to be and what's your cap going to be? Because baseball's not agreeing to a cap unless the owners are willing to say, I have to spend a minimum of $100 million. I'm just throwing out a ballpark figure there. And are you going to get Pittsburgh? Are you going to get Oakland? Now Las Vegas? Are you going to get Cleveland? Are you going to get those teams, Kansas City, Detroit? Are you going to get them to agree to that? The answer to that is probably no.
They love those luxury checks, baby. Are you kidding me? Hey, fire those checks in every first week in November. I mean, that's really where it's at. More thoughts in a second. Let me tell you All About Catering, full service caterer. Graduations, weddings, bridal showers, corporate events. Heck, Thanksgiving is coming up. Anything you need catering for from 25 to 4,000 people, All About Catering can and will take care of you. Customer service and satisfaction is their number one goal, so do not sweat your next big event. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today to see their menus and all their 5-star reviews. Give them a call, 586-731-1398 to get your event started. Tell my guy Rick that Sean sent you. He'll take care of you as he's taking care of my family. As Todd said,
Rick.
The Tigers only need one thing, money. Top 3 payrolls were 3 of 4 last standing. And you know what it is, Todd, to me?
Is that true? I thought Houston and Philadelphia had higher payrolls than the Dodgers.
I'm not.
I
don't know right off the top. I'm not even saying move into the top stratosphere. I'm not.
No.
I'm not. You know what? How about move a good 10, 15 places up in the rankings? You know what I mean? How about do that? How about show us the message, Shep? I love what you said about Skubal, not only at face value, but what message does that send the rest of the free agents out there, potential free agents? Hey, the Tigers are serious.
100%. I think Detroit at the end of the year, by the time the trades and everything took place, I think Detroit's payroll is about $98 million. All right. And I think Todd brings up really good points. I would also remind him, though, Detroit did beat Houston, who was, by the end of the year, I believe, ranked 3rd in payroll, according to Sport Track. Philadelphia didn't go real far. Atlanta's got a higher payroll, and so do the Cubs. Neither one of those teams made the playoffs when Detroit was – the Cubs' payroll is $230 million, and Detroit's 98 at the end of the season. And Detroit's making the playoffs, and they're not. The other thing I would say is, and I know there are exceptions to every rule – Cleveland. Cleveland's ranked 23rd in all of baseball at the end of the season with a little more than 100 million, and they're playing in the ALCS. I don't think you have to spend money. I don't think that's the ultimate answer. I think you have to spend it wisely. You got to spend more than the Tigers, I believe. I've always said I think Detroit's payroll should be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 140 million. I don't think that's asking for too much. I'm not talking about 200 million. 140 million would put you about in the middle of the pack. It would be right around where Colorado is. They believe it's all about drafting and developing. So do I. And then rewarding those players. Have they drafted and are they developing those players? That's the thing that we're waiting to see.
Shep, and you know what I would say? You can talk about Moneyball. You can talk about the things that Oakland did. You can talk about what Tampa did. You can talk about the Guardians. And I have a lot of respect for what the Guardians have done. I say that very begrudgingly, by the way.
Yeah.
But they're not going to go win a championship. I mean, they aren't. I mean, my jaw would drop if any one of those teams under that model went and won a championship. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah,
and
when they threatened, Sean, who was on that team? When they were threatened, when the Tribe was in the World Series and lost to Miami,
to the Cubs, or Miami, or the Cubs. Remember, they lost to the Cubs. That was a great series.
So who was on that team? I mean, way back against Miami, that was Manny Ramirez, right? That was Albert Bell, right? I mean, that was Omar Vizquel. I mean, they had really good players.
Yeah.
That's the difference right there. You've got to have really good players. If the Tigers want to compete at this payroll, Riley Green has to be a star. Parker Meadows has to be a star. Spencer Torkelson has to be a star. And you probably have to have either a guy like Jace Young, Cole Keith, a Trey Sweeney, or a shortstop that you sign, or a catcher has to be a star. You can't get by with just some really good players.
I think it's even exploded in the last 10 years. I mean, when you think of that Cubs and Cleveland World Series, you've seen the payrolls go like this. The Dodgers kind of started the reigniting. It was the Red Sox for a while. Everybody pointed the finger at the Yankees. It was the Red Sox for a while. Then it was the Dodgers. Then it was Philly. And now we've gone, the disparity was this. Shep, the disparity's this now. I mean, it's insane. It really is. So
yeah, the reason Detroit got to where they were is obviously because of pitching. You said the unsustainable bullpen. You're right about that. And managing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, AJ Hinch is just that good. Now, somebody just sent us a text at the end of the season. It was the Mets, it was the Yankees, all the teams I just gave, and they said, that Todd guy needs to check his facts. Todd was referring to the beginning of the year. So I think he was right at the beginning of the season. When you trade away certain assets at certain times, your payroll changes. So that's why I brought up at the end of the season, that's where those teams lie. So that would be a little bit.
Until Chris is serious about the Tigers winning, they'll never be anything more than a cute little story that no one respects. I have my questions. Sorry, I do. I have my questions for a myriad of reasons.
When did you come to that conclusion, though? Because when they made the playoff and when they beat Houston and they were challenging Cleveland, you didn't seem like that kind of guy who was, I have my questions. You seem like you were all in.
I've had my questions for a long time. I didn't think they were going to make the playoff. I mean, point blank. And like everybody else, we got caught up in it and everything. Shep, Todd and I actually had a meltdown at the beginning of the year, in particular about the park that they play in. Comerica Park's a dump. It's a dump.
I don't think it's a dump.
Yes, it is. Yes. Shep, I'm telling you, like seriously, we had season tickets for many years. Okay.
Yeah.
I literally had this conversation with him. I'm not joking, where there were so many broken seats and
what does that have to do with the players and on the field of play?
You know what? I think it has everything to do with everything. You have a stadium that is not even 25 years old. Not even 25 years old. I know. And it's falling apart. And you have the box televisions from the year 2000 all around like my dad using me as his remote control. Yeah, I don't need no remote control. Get up, turn the channel. I want to listen to Shep call the game. Yeah,
Sean, they got rid of the rabbit ears in the clubhouse. You know that, right? I mean, come on.
Like Shep, I'm not joking. Like walk around the park, and my buddies and I, we go to a couple games every year. Now we had to get rid of the tickets because Jack moved away and everything. Every section, there's like a broken chair. Okay. There's a broken this. And I'm sorry. I think it's embarrassing for the franchise. I do. I think it's embarrassing.
Sean, I do too. I can't tell you how many times people said snide comments to me from the organization and looked down on me because I'm at Chavez Ravine in Dodger Stadium, and I'm taking videos of in the bowels of their stadium and how they've got all their gold gloves and all their silver sluggers and all their MVPs and all their Cy Youngs, all this for all the fans to walk around with. And I send it to Tigers personnel. Or I go out to Yankee Monument Park and I send it to Tigers personnel. Or I go to San Francisco and see what they've done for their players when they walk in, the pride that they feel because of all the things that's on display. And I send it to the Tigers. And I look at Comerica Park and I look at, oh, this is a nice high school little salute to the great players in this franchise history. Where is there any ode to Lance Parrish? Where is there any ode to Mickey Lolich? I've said this for 15 to 20 years, okay? And all people do is go, oh my God, you in Detroit. So I agree with everything you've just said. I guess I could easily come back and say, you know what? Chris Ilitch threw a ton of millions of dollars in the clubhouse, which is more important to players.
There's a nice, beautiful shower. Let's be honest.
No, their weight room's really nice. Their kitchen's really nice. All the stalls, all that stuff, they've done a really nice job. And now they're doing this big VIP place right near home plate. That's all fine. I'm talking about on the field. I'm talking about players who can help you win games. Comerica Park may be a dump. I hate to tell you this, Wrigley Field's a dump too, but they get players. Okay, there's a lot of creakiness going on at Fenway Park, but it's an awesome. They get players. All right, just because it's big, new, brand new, and all that other stuff doesn't mean everybody's coming there. Hello, Steve Bell. Steve. What's the guy with the Clippers? Why did I just lose his name? Steve Banyan or whatever. No, not Steve Banyan. Steve Ballmer and the Clippers. Just because that happens doesn't mean everything's going to be fixed. Okay, I'm talking about on the field of play. And they've got to get better players.
And Shep, I think it goes hand in hand, though, because you know if people feel a certain way and you look around the park and the park is lacking a whole bunch of things, and oh, by the way, you have an owner that isn't spending a lot of money, that is how those thoughts come about. But like really, I mean, you add it all together, and what is my conclusion? I'll speak for me here is I think Christopher is more concerned about the bottom line than spending money to make the Tigers a legitimate winner. Period. If he proves me wrong, I'll be the first guy to say it. If he goes out,
I've always said this about you. You're a smart man. Okay, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not, but I just, I don't care. I shouldn't say that. It's important for the fans, but I think what they should be focused on is bringing a quality product to the field of play. And fine, you want to throw a lot of money into a brand new scoreboard? That's fine. Yep. Fix the seats like you talked about. But for the most part, and I wish they would do something with the concourse, but for the most part, can you get some people on the field who can play the game? That's all.
Right. No doubt. All right. One more thing before we get out of here. We were all kind of fired up. You guys were as well. Appreciate that greatly. Let's talk about Lindsey Broadwell. When it's time to get yourself a new house, you're buying, you're selling, more often than not both, you need to contact the right agent. Who should you contact? Lindsey Broadwell. There she is. Your house is probably the biggest investment you will ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsey grew up on the mean streets of Northville. She has expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business, and when it's time to move, our friend Lindsey and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, first-time buyer, doesn't matter. Make sure you contact Lindsey at BroadwellHomes.com. That's your destination. Lindsey at BroadwellHomes.com. She'll help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Shep, very quickly, Lions, Packers, your thoughts?
Well, is Malik Willis playing? I had a bet with a friend of mine at the gym the other day, and he's a big Packers fan, and I said, what do you want to bet? He said, well, how many points you give me? And I said, why should I give you points? You're playing at Lambeau. He said, yeah, but we're without Jordan Love. I said, well, we're without Aiden Hutchinson. And Jameson Williams isn't playing either. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. Well, look at, Malik Willis. I said, yeah, you're 3-0 with Malik Willis.
Right.
He said, yeah, but what about when he was at Tennessee? I said, but he's in Green Bay now. So what difference does it make? Look, I think I've said this consistently. I think Detroit's the best team in football. Here's the irony. They play 17 games. 14 games are indoors. This is the first game that they play in the elements, and it's supposed to rain. I don't think it matters. I think they're the best team in football. I think they win in Green Bay. How about you?
Same. I have a feeling Jordan Love plays. I have a feeling that he runs on a wet turf, and I have a feeling that his groin falls off right on the field in front of everybody and kind of flops around like Alien. Remember when the alien came out and flopped around before it jumped into your chest, Shep? Jordan Love's groin it's Halloween weekend, and then it's going to attack somebody's chest. So
why would you think he plays? He hasn't practiced all week.
He came out.
He looked really bad with a groin injury last weekend. Why would you think he plays?
He made a point. He made a point to say that he doesn't need practice. And Schefter said that he had a feeling that he's going to play. So I'll defer to Schefter. How's that? That's just kind of that's my default.
Okay.
And he said just gut feeling. So I'll defer to Schefter on that. So
can I ask you one thing before we get out of here?
Yes.
Somebody, I think it was Bill, who said, Tigers are not a destination site. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Wow.
I think at one point in time, not too long ago, they were. I don't think they are now. I don't think they are now. For what reason? Why? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not like, why?
I know.
Hey man, I'm heading to Detroit.
But see, I don't believe in that. I think money talks.
That's what I'm saying. That's
okay, then
100%.
Let's not phrase it with that the Tigers are not a destination site. They'll be a destination site if you pay the money.
1,000. That's what I'm saying. Pudge Rodriguez. Pudge Rodriguez. Everybody and their brother knew that Pudge was going to be the highest priced guy. Mr. Ilitch stepped up and Pudge said, I love Detroit. But right now, and this goes back to what we said 10 minutes ago, I have absolutely no reason to believe that Christopher Ilitch is going to be that guy.
I get it. Okay.
So,
cool.
God bless you, man. Have a great weekend. Let's do it again on Monday.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. See you guys. Thanks for joining us. God bless you. Alien. Bye.
Thanks, God.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.